So we ordered dinner, Italian food. It was $68. With DoorDash, there was an 11% service fee, a $4 delivery fee, plus what you have to tip the driver. So it would have been like 35 to 40% more to use DoorDash. And I'm not blaming DoorDash necessarily. These just, there's too much.
Yeah, honestly, for them, like it almost feels like price gouging, because I thought the same thing. I order on the Chick-fil-A app all the time, and I went to go get it from DoorDash, and every item on the menu was more expensive than it is on the regular Chick-fil-A menu. It seemed bizarre.
I don't think it's a viable business model. Forget about what they're charging. Like there's too many hands in the pot. It doesn't work.
Well, and why don't is it just too hard, do you think, for some of these small businesses to hire a fleet of drivers and say we're just going to cut them out of this? Like, why do we need?
I mean, also DoorDash is also taking a piece from the restaurant directly.
Right. Yes, they're sharing the bill a little bit. I don't,
and they still can't make it work. I just don't see how. I don't know. I don't blame anybody. I just don't think that this is a real business.
Right. This is the kind of thing that everyone thinks is going to change forever because of this, and then when this is over, that may be the kind of thing that just kind of goes away, right? Or doesn't do as well, or doesn't survive in the form that it's in because people finally wisen up to it a little bit.
Although, let me ask myself a question: How come? How come when I was living in Brooklyn, I would order Seamless all the time and it didn't feel egregiously expensive?
Maybe it is a little cheaper in the city because there's so many more people that are there available, and in the burbs it's a little more expensive because they don't have as many drivers and such. Maybe
yes,
you're paying a suburb premium.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
That could be it. Don't you think we're in the point where everyone, obviously this whole virus has become politicized, which is just crazy to me. Like the virus really cares if you're left or right. But everything is black and white now, whereas people are saying, well, the stock market is pricing in only a V-shaped recovery, or it's got to fall 80%, or people's behavior is going to change forever, or it's not going to change at all. And I feel like so many people are not leaving room for some middle ground, which obviously this phase of whatever is happening in this opening is kind of middle ground. Like I tweeted out this thing the other day that was a complete joke because there was a headline saying Shanghai Disney is reopening, and the first day ticket sales sold out in like minutes. Mm-hmm. And there was something saying cruise ship for all the pent up demand in August, it's up like 600%, and it's up 200% year over year. And I said consumer behavior is going to be changed forever. And then I showed these two headlines. I said, wait, what? And people jumped down my throat, even though I was kidding. Because the Disney thing is only opening at 30% capacity and it's not sold out past the first day or whatever. But don't you think there's obviously room for middle ground here? That some things are going to change, some things are going to be exactly the same. The stock market's not necessarily pricing in a V-shaped recovery, but it is pricing in things getting a little better, and there's all this stimulus. And
I feel like I have no views right now. I contradict myself every 20 minutes.
I just feel like any extreme position right now in terms of yes or no, or on or off, or change or not change, I feel like that's just taking any of those positions just seems foolish to me right now, because you just who the hell knows, right?
Yeah, I'm in wait and see mode. Like this person that I know asked me, I don't know why keeps coming up, when are you going back to work? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Right. I don't know what it's going to be like. I don't have a plan. My plan for going back to work will be dictated by what's going on around me. By the way,
I honestly think it's possible, depending on vaccine, you could lose not only the rest of 2020, you could lose all 2021 of ever going back into the city. I think that's possible. I'm
hunkering down. I've got a standing desk. And unlike you, cheapskate, I got the electric, not crank, just the button.
It was totally worth $400 so you could push the button instead of crank it. It's like I'm starting an engine every time I raise mine. But and the other thing is, I feel like we're going to have this whatever 18-month period until we get a vaccine, and I am optimistic about that. A lot of people think, well, we're never going to get a vaccine. Whatever. I don't know anything more than anyone else, but
whatever.
I'm choosing to be optimistic on that. But we're going to get all these behaviors that people say, like, okay, you've done this, and these behaviors are going to change forever. And then we're going to get a vaccine, and I feel like people are going to go, nah, I'm done with that. That's over. And then just completely move on. So I feel like the stages of behavior are going to be so different, too, in terms of people are going to get locked into one thing and then completely let it go, because I'm sure I will do that, too.
I want to talk about Social Security. You wrote a really good piece on this. Can we do that?
Yeah, so I got a question. I think this might have been a question for the show, actually. Someone said, okay, The government is spending like crazy. I'm already worried about this. Do you think Social Security is going to be around for millennials when we go to retire? And people have been worried about this already. And the response I got from millennials, without even reading the piece on Twitter, was, I am not planning for this at all.
How many of those people who are saying they're not planning for this have a plan in the first place?
Well, no, but a lot of people were saying, in my financial plan, I'm not taking Social Security into account at all. And so I looked at this, and the Social Security, like their administrative board of trustees, puts out an annual report every year, and they map this thing out based on demographics and life expectancy and how people are going to take and what payroll taxes are going to be. So obviously all these things are subject to change. But this has been known for a while now that in like 2034, the amount of money that comes in from payroll taxes is going to be less than the money that goes out. So it's going to be at like 80% at that point going forward. And so at that point, good, you're still covered 80% of the way there. So let's say they decided, you know what, we don't think Social Security is that important. We're just going to pay out what comes in. So you get a 20% haircut. Now by 2094, they estimate that payroll taxes will still cover 73% of it.
All right. It's back in the plan. It's back in the plan.
But so I'm saying, what politician in their right mind would ever cut Social Security, which for a lot of retirees is the majority of their retirement income? You would be nuts to ever cut this program. So guess what? This situation has shown if there's political will to spend on something, they will fill that gap. This is not one of those things where the trust fund runs out and they go, oh, now what do we do? There's no money left. The government can find money somewhere else and use it as a priority and maybe deprioritize somewhere else if they want to keep things clean. But I would, maybe you have to take it at a later date if you're a young person, or maybe it's not going to be as much as people are getting now, but I'm pretty confident in saying it's going to be there in some form.
Well, this surprised me. In 2019, an estimated $1 trillion was spent on Social Security, which is 23% of the annual budget. Holy cow.
Yeah, it's a big piece. And they were saying that for a lot of retirees, this is a huge, huge part of what they spend every year. So hang on, let me find this. Okay, so half of all senior citizens get at least 50% of their retirement income from Social Security. Around 1 in 4, 25%, receive 90% of retirement income from Social Security. Guess who votes? Old people. You're not going to ever get elected to a higher office if you're taking away their Social Security. That's the way that I look at it. And again, maybe they can say, anyone under the age of 40, we're raising the retirement age, or we're raising the earnings cap because they don't tax people over a certain amount. So I think that they could do some simple fixes that would make it probably on sounder financial footing. But I think if you're a millennial, you can plan on it being there in some form. I wouldn't say it's going to be zero when we get there.